I thank the gentleman. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in opposition to this bill because it would result in more crime and fewer people willing to serve in law enforcement. This bill lowers the standard for mens rea and basically eliminates qualified immunity for law enforcement officers. So, in the course of doing their job, an officer could go to prison for unintentionally breaking the law. Who wants to serve in a job where they're attacked, underpaid, overworked, and, under this bill, possibly charged as a criminal? Without qualification, what happened to George Floyd was horrific, and those involved deserve the full punishment under the law. Mr. Floyd's death was a brutal and callous assault that has undermined the public trust of law enforcement officers that we depend on to keep our communities safe. Notwithstanding, we cannot undermine the entire law enforcement community because of it. Every group has bad actors. Congress is not without examples of such. But we can't continue to paint all law enforcement officers as villains. I'm thankful for the brave men and women that keep our communities, families, and this very Capitol safe. They take an oath to run toward danger when everyone else runs away. In fact, 2 officers, David Bailey and Crystal Griner, did just that when they kept my colleagues and me from being killed on the baseball field 3 years ago. I'm convinced that several of my colleagues and I would have been killed or grievously wounded, as was Steve Scalise, were it not for the courage and dedication to duty of Officers Bailey and Griner. They're heroes, and I stand with them, not with these lawless vandals who have occupied some of our cities, who are pressuring my colleagues across the aisle to, if not eliminate our police departments, make them ineffective. Every day, somewhere in our nation, police officers put their lives on the line, and far too many of them lose their lives or suffer serious injuries as they faithfully and honorably do their jobs in service to their communities. I will not support any effort to make their jobs more dangerous while also leaving our communities vulnerable to the lawless acts and senseless violence that we're witnessing across our nation today. In regard to the Majority Leader, Mr. Hoyer, I appreciate the fact that he respectfully referenced Senator Tim Scott's bill in the Senate. I wish that the Speaker of this House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, had made a similar respectful response to that bill, as I wish Senator Dick Durbin had made a respectful response to that bill. The Majority Leader called on us to work with our colleagues across the aisle on this legislation. Had he been serious about that, there would have been a discussion before this bill ever came to the floor, but there wasn't one. As my colleague from North Dakota has pointed out, there will be no amendments from the Republicans that substantially improve this bill accepted. There aren't any on the Senate side either. So it is disingenuous to say that the Republicans are not interested in pursuing justice through sensible law enforcement. I urge my colleagues to oppose this bill, and I yield back.